Peace, peace, peace. Take those deep breaths for me, for us, for everyone. This one is going to be get your popcorn, get your tissues, get your just get yourself ready mentally. Uh, I do have my handy dandy heart chart. Nah, okay. Well, for those of you that are new to this, give an honor to Source, give an honor to the Creator. You know, you know, whatever higher power you do prescribe to, subscribe to. No, but give an honor to Source, ancestors known and unknown, those that came before us, both matriarchal and patriarchal. No, ancestors known and unknown. Give gratitude to the all. This one, for those you do not know, this is my handy dandy chart. My heart chart. And what this symbolizes is, if you don't know, go check my other videos out that will lead up to this. We have invisible heartstrings per se that connects us emotionally or in a way spiritually. So whether we see it on this physical plane, but here again, I have my chart again today, and today's topic is going to be about past versions. As you can see, past versions. What does that mean? Past versions of ourselves that we are still emotionally attached to. And even with that, also the past versions of ourselves that we have yet to let go of to experience a new reality, to experience a new way of being, a new way of living. Another one we have here is emotional attachment to, what does that say? Past loved ones. Ooh. Transitions. Death, some may call it. Physical departure. An attachment to uncertainty. Ooh. Meaning the unknown. Okay. So, today is really an interesting day, and I had to have the courage within myself, because it's like this eerie feeling, and I've been telling people like this theme of death has been the topic in a way because of so many things that are happening in the cosmos, spiritually, physically, everything, to where if there's one thing we all will know that will happen to us, that is a physical death, or leaving this vessel, this avatar, whatever you want to call it. We know that that's not only going to happen to us, but it's also going to happen to everyone. So that being said, the reason why a lot of these topics are so significant, and for those of you that are new, these heartstrings, which we all have, somewhat connect us emotionally to the things that we are somewhat attached to here. And I always express to people, receive what resonate, let the rest go, that through our own attachments, own selfish attachments can cause our own suffering. A lot of people aren't aware of how detachment is and how it operates. For me, I've had to learn this at an early age, or I had to learn this. It was a process, even because of we naturally are become emotionally attached. And attaching something is more of like holding on and not really allowing it to blossom. It's like, imagine putting a seed in the ground and you're holding your hand over, in a way, use that analogy of like holding your hand, like watering something, but holding your hand over the ground where to see the flower blossom. And it's like even through our own emotional attachments, let's see, it's like, you're holding hands. You know how you little kids, you holding hands, and oh yeah. But at some point in time, basically everyone has their own individual path. And that in that individual path, or in that path of, however your journey looks, that person per se, see the butterfly, has still their own journey to learn through their own experiences karmically, dharmically, of what it is they came here to learn, what it is that they believe in, what it is that they value, so forth. That being said, what's great about these topics today, um, I recently found out that a classmate of mine, or someone that I recently talked to, transition. And I found out via Facebook, because with things now, it's like Facebook or certain outlets, because it's like so wild now that you don't even, no one really calls anyone no more. They just post it. And you don't really know, which is none of my business, if they're doing it for attention or not, or out of respect for the family, because things like that used to be of importance. So the reason being why this topic is so important, because these past versions and these emotional attachments to past loved ones, family, friends, relatives, however you want to see it, and or a child, this can be connected through a lot of things. How all of this ties in is so connected to where, even me finding out today, I'm like, it's like for a lot of people that, process it, it's like, we can all respond to this so differently. And so even this topic itself can be very touching for a lot of people. I believe she was only 31 or 32, and she had a son, and basically, it's just for me, I would say, like, my process, and this is why I feel like I'm led to do this, is because my process, or how I process and perceive death or perceive transitioning, may be different for a lot of people. I hope my phone not getting. Okay, good. So, and this is why I'm here talking about this, because everyone's perception on death, whether people that are in the spiritual community, I myself do feel like, outside of coming from a religious background at the time when I was younger, what my experience was like, more of, I saw the control aspect of religion. I saw the aspect of religion that it induced or projected onto a child of how, if you don't do right by something, if you don't do this, then you're going to burn in a fire forever. So a lot of things, and a lot of us know that growing up in these, these different demographic or backgrounds or cultures and stuff, and the awareness I have now, I'm like, that sounds like torture. So what it does for someone mentally as a child, you're perceiving the world like, I gotta do and be this, the perfect example, without awareness of, you're here to learn, you're here to receive, and you're here to go through life on your own individual path, but that also we learn our value from our guardians or parents. And so again, from the awareness of being in, growing up in that diaspora, whatever you want to call it, a lot of it, again, I just had a more spiritual awareness, or more consciously awareness of a lot of things more than any, like, other people. I was kind of like a lone wolf sometimes, because as I start to age or become more conscious aware, I always was gravitated towards death, and per se death, and more so transitioning, or I would like to say the regeneration or cycles of life. So in that, I've grown accustomed to realizing that, and well, I came in on, like, I'm a Scorpio, by the way, or came in that energy, and for those of you that are not into zodiac, but me, I dive a little deep into certain things like astrology, just learning different things. And this hasn't always been this way, but I just always felt like out of like knowing that I wasn't of this world in a way. I'm in it, but I always felt like somewhat like an outcast or a lone wolf or like a lion that doesn't run in a pack, because you do have lions that do run in a pack. So getting back to, just the topic of, the transitioning of, loved ones and certain things. When I was younger, I would just, you're growing up, and again, you're not told like, you're going to leave this world. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's going to help a lot of people get clarity of how even processing this can look different for everyone, whether visually, communicatively, if that's a word, or, just other ways to change your perception on how it is that I agree with things and how it is that I've learned to let go, to help me process a lot of things. So in that, again, you're growing up. You're not ever in your mind focused on your loved ones or someone leaving you one day, especially as a child. Your mind is simply like, oh yeah, we're just going through life. You're gonna always be here. I love you forever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So one of my very first experiences, I believe it was my great grandmother first. And you're growing up, and again, we all, in a way, I feel, have this perception on life that no one's ever going to leave us. And that's, I feel like, our greatest attachment in a way, emotionally, because you've grown with these people, whether it's a hate-love connection. But you've grown up through these people, you've experienced them like no other, and unexpectedly, or, source of the Creator, the Most High, just, it's time to go. And I feel for a lot of people that, for me, I was in Job Corps when I heard the news of, something happening with my great grandmother, and I could have chose to come home. I gotta get some of this sun. I could have chose, to come home. I could have chose to, do things differently. But when I was in Job Corps, I believe I was there, still in my what they call 90-day, cycle, or probation period, they want to call, like you wasn't able to really leave. So for me, I could have, but I believe if I would have left too early, that I would have not had the chance to stay there and experience something. So when I did find out, it didn't really hit me, and I feel like this can happen for a lot of people. It did not really, because I'm gonna bring this back up. It didn't really, hit me until like I was, because she left, let me see, I got it tattooed on, 4/5/27. That was her birthday, but she left in 2011 around like April, yeah, right before, I think when they celebrate Mother's Day. So when I heard, I was just like, okay, So a lot of us, like, can you imagine, a lot of us aren't prepared for this, and how do you really prepare? How can you really prepare? No one really can prepare for things as such, because you can hear it like, oh yeah, we're gonna die, oh, such and such, until it like really do knocks on your door, or, it comes up, or it's there and you're faced with it. And so I really feel like with a lot of people, everyone handles it differently. And from my experience, hearing that, and then having to go to church, or at the time going to church, because that's the only thing I knew at that time, and I didn't really have relatives around. I just had people that I met there in Job Corps. So in that, I went to the church, and it didn't really hit me because you're talking about Mother's Day. And during that time, I really became overwhelmed with emotions. And I don't care who the toughest guy is, I don't care. You or we, if you're really gonna honor who you are, honoring your emotions is one of the greatest things you can ever do, a part of this human experience. Because we've been taught so much or learned, even from our childhoods to, and this is psychologically had a toll on a lot of men such as myself, melanated men, dark men, or, not even just so much of just color, just how psychologically we are, told not to cry. No, don't do that. Don't cry. Don't do that. Don't, and these are planting seeds in our minds, over time. You're weak, or you a B. I'm just gonna say you a bitch for crying. Oh, you weak, or you a ussy. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Because I choose to honor my emotions. I choose to feel. I choose to realize that in actuality, spiritually, that how did I get here? My great grandmother, that's connected. These are those heartstrings I'm telling you about. And I'll hold it up. These are those heartstrings in our body, invisible strings that we are become emotionally attached to. And so in that attachment, some of these things, again, we unconsciously do, subconsciously do, because sometimes we subconsciously have these fears of these things happening. And so what it does, these things eventually come to the forefront. From the subconscious fears, they come here to the conscious. And so what that does is, again, whatever, when you're talking about generations, you're talking about how emotions the emotions and how we develop emotions are in the wombs of our mothers. So, and that's how I was able to recognize like how much of hoarding so many things, pushing it down and not really acknowledging it, has created so many blockages, not only within myself, but those around me. Those things that you pick up on, and you're wondering why you're so frustrated. You're wondering why, what is this emotion? And again, this is demographically, or this has ancestrally been passed through the wombs of our mothers. Like, you're talking about 7 generations before, and so forth, of how our, like the sister, what's her name, Solar Ra would say, like, the emotional resonance was created. Our emotional bodies, our emotions were created in our mother's womb. So now when I start to look back at how because my mom, in a way, is, from my experience with her, she is not as emotionally mature. And this is not an attack on my mother at all, because she is amazing. She is beautiful and divine in her own birthright. It's just me learning and accepting things now to where I can express it, and getting to that point of how, we learn these emotional attributes or things from our mothers or the women that have been in our family. And so if you're growing up in these dynamics, not knowing how or what it is to honor your emotions or how to express it, this can be displayed through anger, in a way of hurting and destroying, especially men. Men can have a way of destroying those around him with his actions. Women, per se, have a way, and it can be different, but I feel like just because a lot of women can master emotions more than men are more logical and practical. We all are different, but, it's all relatable in a way. But it's so much of how, our women in itself can be more attached to a child, rather than depending on upbringings, how people can be more detached. But really, is it detaching, or you're just simply ignoring your emotions or avoiding the fact of feeling because you never were taught? So that being said, let me get some water. That being said, I realized that, when these things happen, I had to observe how my grandmother, my mother, certain people reacted. And in my response, me choosing to stay at Job Corps, choosing to do those things, I did what I felt was best. And to some people, it may feel like you're very selfish. How could you? Yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, one thing about when a transition happens, what I've learned is that I may grieve through things, or I may process things, I may unpack things completely different than you. And a lot of that is relatable to, again, what I have seen, as a child, or what emotionally I have learned from the women in the womb of my mother, then seeing how her mother reacts to those things, because again, these things aren't really taught. So by me sharing this, it's like allowing people to realize like that a lot of us have been ignoring this for so long. A lot of us will, and in that ignoring, we don't have to no longer. And I can't tell you how to do it, but I will share with you like the process of, me burning this today to let go of that attachment. Because in reality, when I speak about, spiritual advisor, it's more so of how, my connection, what has been from my transition, and how it has developed in a healthy way. A lot of us don't know how to do things. So through that expansion, or consciously, or more connecting, again, from coming out of that so much attachment to religion, and learning more different cultural dynamics, getting more in tune with myself spiritually, learning more about my ancestral connections. And so in that, it's not about convincing you, it's just so more about how to process these things, how to expand your awareness consciously, or how to guide you out of a dark place. Because what it does is that in reality, those that came before us are pushing, are cheering, this is what people call ancestors. Those that came before us, they're actually, they get in a way like they're pissed that we're not actually trying to better ourselves. They don't want us to stay in those environments, because again, that becomes the emotional attachment, to where it's an attachment to the past rather than getting up and getting that strength to rise out of it, to move forward. Because in reality, this is what those that came before us did. Again, we're going to process and go through it differently, but from my own journey, I went as far as getting my great-grandmother tattooed in remembrance. Some may, I per se don't believe in getting the headstone thing, but that's traditional. By all means, that's your belief. Because I do feel like where it happens, people leave the body and there's a continuance, for me, I feel like they move forward. I do not believe death or whatever, when people transition, it stops there. Because a lot of us are having the awareness that there is something beyond this just physical. A lot of us are known to have, visuals. And I myself, I've seen my great-grandmother, not in her physical, but I've seen what some may call the spiritual realm. I've seen my grandmother, and not so much say something, but I've seen like this aura, this and it's like and a lot of you have this gift, and don't ignore it. It's not a curse, because I've actually seen people who are afraid of these things, and in reality, it's a gift, because they reveal themselves to you in divine timing, and that is a divine gift. I've also had again, seeing my grandmother. She showed up to me in a vision at her old home. And, I just remember seeing the colors. I just remember seeing her there. And it immediately, what it does for a lot of us, it brings back the emotion. You know, it brings back that awareness of like, wow, it's something beyond this. So a lot of people may question it. A lot of people may say, well, you know, that's demonic, that's wicked, you know, da 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 da. I mean, it goes as far as people even celebrating them. That's your choice. You know, because I know myself to have this connection to where they are still with us. They're just no longer here in the flesh. So having those visions, some may call them dreams or whatever, they reveal themselves. You know, because it can be different for everyone. You know, one of the greatest things for me was another cousin of mine that I have tattooed here, and it says TKO because he was, you know, he was going to go to the UFC. He was a fighter, or he was doing like what they call tough man contests, and he was one of my cousins. Like, because I never really said this on video, but a lot of people. He was very well known. He was very well known for fighting, because a lot of our background or growing up. A lot of people, depending on their upbringing, we had to do a lot of fighting, man. A lot of survival tactics. And a lot of, I do feel like, again, it's around a lot of self-hatred or hatred of self, and not knowing, you know, really having a sense of security within self, not being more aware. And that one was 2 years after my great grandmother, which really caught me by surprise. Shit. Shit. Man, that's why I give honor, man, to my cousins, man, to all my ancestors. I say, give gratitude, known and unknown, for the good of all, to the harm of none. You know, but that's why I feel like a lot of people don't realize, like, everyone's journey is not the same, but some people have their belief systems or connected to certain things, being that we are here to aid in the healing and in the ascension, if you want to call it, or the raising of higher frequency vibrations through love. And through love and through authenticity, that's uncomfortability. You have to be honest with yourself first to even speak about this shit. Gosh. That's why I wore these shades. I knew it. This one really caught everyone, because at the time I was attending Liberty University in Virginia, and I believe I came home to visit, and I don't know where I was. I just remember somebody calling me, and this is one of my elder cousins. He probably was maybe a few years my elder, but we definitely did grow up together close, and we fought sometimes. He was definitely one of my greatest inspirations. We played basketball. We did a lot of things together. And again, it's like, these are things you're not really mentally prepared for. These are things you're not really, can really say that you are, you got it together. Or say that, oh yeah, I'm okay. No, that's bullshit, man, because this is where a lot of us need help, or ask for guidance, or ask for some type of support. And this can be very difficult, because when these things happen, you have the family, or you have your tribe or people that are also going through things differently. Like you having a mother, the mother of the child, these things happen. And you know, you really have some people that still do not believe 10, 15, 20 years later that this has happened. You know, and for my cousin, again, I said he was a huge inspiration for me. And you know, if those that don't know, like when you're growing up in, I don't like the term using black, but but melanated or dark people, however you want to see it, indigenous people. Again, I don't proclaim to be a part of just things that try to keep me categorized per se. So, but in reality, those that can relate to this, when you're growing up in certain environments, there's this stigma, there's this what's the term, stereotype that you're only good for basketball, football. My cousin was very great at football. We both were great at basketball, but he more leaned towards football. Then he started getting into what they call these tough man contests, where like anybody can come in certain weight classes, and they have these little amateur boxing. And so for that, he again, like I will just see so much how, now that I see the awareness, how much, we as men, and women, but so much of men mentally that haven't been shown so much of guidance, how we should be guided to our emotions and allow our emotions to actually be a gateway to expressing and letting go and being honest, because a lot of our homes that were, where you were physically abused, verbally abused, emotionally manipulated, a lot of things connected to that. All, you're carrying all of this to where when someone does transition or someone does leave, it's like all these things flood, all these things come up, to where like, how do I process this? Who do I run to? Because the ones you feel you love the most are those narcissists, are those emotional manipulators, or are these very things that, where do I go to let this out? So a lot of which you see in the communities and such is that a lot of us are doing things to so much of our wounded place, to where, we had this, me and him made this pact or agreement to where like, we're going to become so successful, we're going to do this and get our families out the hood, or, you hear that a lot with people typically in, these American cultures and stuff like that, because they believe that just basketball and football is the gateway to success. But what the fuck about emotion? What about honoring your emotions? What about being mentally healthy? What about being mentally successful, emotionally successful, spiritually rich? What about just simply being yourself without just trying to put on this mask or go out there to pretend that you have to be the next whatever it is, to simply be who you are? So this is why I'm expressing to why a lot of these things, when someone transition can come about, does that shit even matter anymore? Then when you do that, there's this weight on your shoulders to where it feels like, as a man, that I have to just, do so much to where I gotta be perceived to the world like I got it together. And in reality, a lot of us haven't been okay, when these things have happened. So when that happened in 2013, I do believe like he had just did his first amateur match for it was leading up to the UFC, but it was a cage match, yeah, like the fighter thing. And like, I believe it was days later, maybe a week or two or something, I have to look at the calculations again, and found out that he was shot, some connection to like possibly robbery. And just with all of that, and it's crazy to sound, then you learn more about who was connected to it, so many things, to where you're like in disbelief, like how could you even, want your cousin or people to do things like that? And he had 2 kids at the time, so we don't really know like the reality of what people are out here trying to survive. When you have a lot of people with, not so much of a strategic plan or a guidance, to where they are really aware of what they're doing and how it's going to affect others. And so again, when someone, transitions or these things happen physically, some may perceive it like, okay, well, You know, they're still my cousin, or they're still this person, and they don't want to see nothing. You know, they don't want them to be talked about in a negative way, or in so much of a, you know, a degrading way or devaluing way, because you're still the one that has to face that and process that emotion. Because I don't defend, I'm not even gonna sit here and say I would defend what he was doing, because in reality that was free will, or in reality I don't know the backstory to why he felt he was led to even do such a thing. And again, did it hurt? Yeah, I didn't cry when I heard the news that, you know, my mom was crying, but it's like I knew it already. And a lot of us have this nudge, or this feeling, like this, you know, this eerie feeling, or this way of like something's gonna happen. Some of you even have the gift of foreseeing it. Some of you even have so many things to where, you know, you have that gift of foreseeing it, or have this, because in a way may sound weird or crazy to other people, but that's simply because that connection to the spirit realm, or that connection to a higher source, allows you to be this channel to actually embrace it, you know, ahead of time, in a way to where when it does happen, you may have to be that counselor, or you may have to be that mediator, that, you know, that bridge to those that may not know how to handle it. Because some people are more detached when it comes to emotions, and not really avoiding, but they're in a way to where they know themselves that. And for me, it has been like this a lot. For me, it's like I've come to accept and made peace with that myself, that I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be here all the time. And then that's when I realized, in that process of when people have transition, it's like, cherish the moment. Be grateful in the moment. Be grateful in the present. The present is a gift. Forgive myself. You know, forgive others. You know, make peace with those things. You know, love me, love them. Whether if I got to give you a smile, something so simple, at that moment, that's all I can offer. Because in that process of trying to grieve and make sense of all of that, this person or people, your whole world is changed. Your whole mindset, your whole way of being, your whole way of whatever it is, it's like something in a way can feel like it was ripped from you. Some people even feel like a part of them, that, you know, God or something feels like, you know, they feel cursed in a way, because how could you have allowed me, you know, to go all this time with getting to know this person, this child, or whatever it is, and you remove this? How selfish of you. You know, they will look at God like that, or the creator, however you see it, source. You know, like, how could you? You know, how dare you? And in reality, you know, for some people, I cannot tell you how to go through it, but I'm here to let you know, whether it's uncomfortable for you, or whether it's not easy to accept. You know, ways of processing this could be like writing yourself a letter, writing them a letter, you know, to the people, you know, to that person, you know, in a way to where whatever makes you grieve through that. Because I know people hold pictures, people create altars, people do a lot of things that, again, in a way, what connects us all? Life and what some may call death, pain and gain. So you have people who celebrate people's transition. They no longer have to suffer. Then you have some people who grieve, who go through things in a different way, because that's what they've been shown. So again, some of us are here to bridge that, to become aware, like, hey, those of you that, you know, again, learning to detach from that, you know, it becomes a way of, now I can celebrate them. How could I celebrate them? With my own life. Celebrate, you know, and that's what I had to come through with my cousin. It was like, yo, you supposed to be here, bruh. Like, what? You supposed to be here. You supposed to see me through with this. Then I tell myself, Spirit was like, how selfish of you. But some people like, no, I get how you feel. No, how selfish are you not to live your life because you feel someone else should be here? They do not belong to you. I gave them to you, source. I gave them to you. I gave you you. I gave you your daughter. I gave you your mother. I gave you these things to experience. And then when they transition, wanted to remind you that you don't belong to you. Because even when you leave here, you shall return to me. You shall return to the one. So in reality, a lot of us are learning what that is and seeing why do you have these strings that connect us all. You know, I'll give you this analogy. It's interesting because it just came to me. It's like see source or the creator as like a spider weaving this web that connects us all some way, somehow. I tell people pain connects us, and then, you know, in a way, when we gain a new life, when someone leaves, you know, that brings people together. And that also is a reminder. It reminds a lot of people, like, cherish that moment. Cherish them while they're here, though. Celebrate you and celebrate them. I had to get to that place, like, I held on it. I didn't really process the thing with my cousin until, like, I didn't cry immediately. Actually, I cried, like, maybe 5 years later. Yeah, it just hit me out of nowhere. Because I was like, how long are you going to keep telling yourself that you're not hurting? And then what this can do is that we carry that so long, and then we try to live this out through, you know, trying to accomplish things, trying to find fulfillment, trying to fill this void. And it can look different for people, like, you know, you're getting in relationships, you're trauma bonding, or you're getting, and it's not as, well, for me, it was like trying to cope with that, using that as a crutch, like, you know, why? You gonna leave me in this moment? I need you. And then I experienced like, well, do you realize now how much it was selfish? Because they need to be experienced. I had to tell someone that the other day, I embody love. I am a reflection of love. I am here to be experienced, not possessed. Because in reality, when these transitions happen, it either brings you to yourself or further away. Does it not bring you closer to God or to the Creator, which is within yourself? Reminding you the cycle of life, like Lion King, like we're all a part of a circle. And so again, it's different for everyone. But what I'm here to do is to remind you that today, in this moment, you know, it took a while for me to even, when I did start crying, when I did start celebrating, I had to get the courage, because it's different. Some people need help. Some people don't know how to ask for help. This is why I'm speaking to you about it today. I didn't know how to get out of that. I still have family and people who haven't gotten out of it. They don't know how. Can you imagine the mothers and fathers who pretend and go on daily like nothing? No, it's that. For me, I've even seen the mental illness behind it, because emotionally, mental body, emotional body, that is connected, again, spiritually and physically. So what it does is that I've seen people like become hoarders behind it. There's no judgment here at all. But I see why I was led to this, to even be at this place. Because what can happen is that it can look different for everyone. Again, we can get into these connections where we don't even realize sometimes how we can become so emotionally attached to not being with ourselves and knowing what it is to be secluded. Because again, some people can seclude themselves from the world to where they're so detached to where they don't want to be experienced after these transitions. Then you have some people who become emotionally so attached to fear of abandonment or being alone. Because when that transition happens, abandonment issues can come out. Abandoning, and then that abandonment could lead to, those abandonment issues that come up because, let's say, a father or a mother that was there. I'm learning this with connections that I'm meeting with people. Women that have experienced a stillbirth, men that have experienced, because a lot of this is not talked about. I went through experience where there was women who had abortions, because I spiritually felt that connection. I've had, women do that without my consent, but then again, it's like, how could I tell them that they were wrong for doing what they feel with their body? So it's a lot that goes around that. And, because again, it so much goes back to even these past versions of ourselves that we are so emotionally attached to, and keeps us stagnant and keeps us in a place to where, do we really see ourselves flourishing? Can I flourish from this? Can I get out of this rut or feel like I can be accessible to myself again and to the world? Am I blocking myself off from being experienced? So again, these things can look different from everyone. I may not know what it is for a woman, being that I reflect the masculine and have, a penis. I may not know that connection with a woman who has emotionally went through those things. So I have to, process this thing and express to her from a logical place, from a place of me trying to find a solution. Like, hey, and I seen that with my experience. I've had to even be in experiences where I was simply there to be a guide, and Spirit was like, no, it's not about being romanticized, romantic or being sexual. I'm showing you to be here and be there for someone that now that you see your abandonment issues, now that you've healed from certain things, I want you to realize that you are here now to aid those people, whether it be women or men, per se women, to find that power within themselves, to activate them, to express to them that you can get out of this. Sometimes we have to simply be just a guide, share certain things that they may not have heard from a man, or they may not have heard from someone. And you never know what it is we're here to share, where it gives that person's clarity, or it gives that person a boost, or to motivate them to be able to, see past and let go of that past version of them that has kept them in that dark place. That past version of them that they, because when this happens with a lot of women, they don't feel worthy again in their womb space. And as to for men, when I went through that at the time, it's like, do I feel worthy enough to even co-create with someone? That, that fear in the mind, like, will this happen? Like, will this happen again with someone? Those subconscious things that come up. So a lot is so much connected to what a transition can happen and how it can affect so many people in so many ways. You're talking about like a ripple effect. So I know a lot of people that are afraid to even have children and bring something in this world because so many things happen. Because you're talking about finances, you're talking about stability, you're talking about so many things that play a major part into that. So it's a beautiful experience, even me seeing that. And I'll share with y'all even the fact of how when I saw my princess, come through her mother, I was there like the whole process just to even see something and go from this and open up and then see that come into the world. What that did for me as a man, because a lot of men don't experience this, it will show you the cycle of life. I saw death and rebirth and in that same moment. Because you're receiving something, but it's at the same time reminding you that you are also a process of this. So now there's a grander responsibility to deliver and share a message with those of you that have ever, seen a woman have a child or experienced that. That would be a great experience, because that will change. That right there impregnates you, or in a way plant seeds in your mind when you see, okay, 20%. When you see something like that happen, you're like, what? So I'm in awe. It's amazing. It's beautiful. That's something that's happening to you subconsciously, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. Because when that child comes, or when that you see in that process, and it's different. For me, it was just you don't forget about it. It's implanted in your mind's eye, in your spirit, in your being. It for me, it's like, and it can be different. It's like, oh shit, like everything comes up. So that right there was a transition for me. And for those of you that maybe have seen someone transition, but let's say you have saw a mother, you know, bring forth a life, or your sister or someone, go back to that moment and you'll see it'll help you probably process life more differently, and how you can actually, it can help aid you in your grieving state or in that process of like, okay, I cannot control nothing. You know, the more I just let go and detach, I realize that there is security in the uncertainty, in the unknown. And see, this is why I speak about these emotional attachments, because some of us have grown so attached and so accustomed to surface things, to where you see this displayed so much, and this is mine, that's my daughter, that's my this, that's my that. And I realize that Source will have a way of something happening just to remind you. And it may seem like it's a punishment. No, in a way, it's to bring a more consciousness, awareness to how nothing here belongs to us. You know, why do we feel, and how have I became so attached that something here, that I can hold on to something here? I cannot even hold on to my breath. If I hold my breath, obviously I'm experiencing something outside of this body. You know where I'm getting at. But again, I challenge you to honor your emotions. And for those of you that, there's no judgment here. We've all have experienced something, or will experience someone transitioning. Like I said, it can affect everyone differently. It can have, but it will have a profound effect on everyone. I love to say, like, when a child comes, it's going to change everything. When someone leaves, it's going to change everything. When you leave, but most importantly, your legacy here. You know, after that experience with with the princess, I had to get to a place where I was honored. You know, some women, some people men don't even have that honor to do that. You know, some women are not even capable of having children. You know, then you have some people who live in fear of that. It's so many things centered around that. But I know that for you and a lot of women and those that have experienced some type of, a death recently, I send my condolences and love to you. Like, again, for even me having the courage to make this video today, with knowing that someone that I knew, I'm realizing, like, wow, I'm processing this so uniquely, but I'm allowing it to be an empowerment way to share with you all. And again, it's different for everyone, but you do have your birthright is to, a part of this human experience is to be who you are and return to the essence of who you are. Return to that love, because we've been so far away from that, and now that we're returning to that, in honoring that is a part of honoring those that no longer are here in the physical. You know, where we can allow ourselves to feel safe and secure in that space, to be ourselves, to express our emotions, to grieve, to celebrate that. And, you know, for me, it's I've had the honor to even do artwork, masterpieces behind that, and that allows me to connect with, that person that was here, but now it celebrates them. You know, I've had masterpieces where, the grandmother passed, and then, the artwork where I'm putting all of the babies, the grandchildren, things as such, because that can mean the world to people, and I always tell people, like, I love being an artist and creator, because I've had the honor to do that, to see how that has changed a lot of people's life. It took a while for me, years later, because I had got a what they call an obituary. Though, you know, those that don't know what that is, it's like when you go to a funeral service. I myself I'm not too fond of funeral service. After I did like one with my cousin, when I went there, it's like as soon as I opened the door, I like fell out, like almost like passed out. But I did make it through to even speak up at the funeral and how we got to move forward. Even my great aunt, just things where, you know, when that happened with her, when she was in a wreck and she transitioned, and just to see the response and see how it affects, you know, your family, see how people will never have their mother again, you know. And it's wild because it's like, it's so deep to where these people won't ever, like, even for some mothers that maybe have had a stillbirth, maybe have had a miscarriage and stuff, like, for them emotionally becoming, you know, attached in a way or connected to that child within them, and for that process not to be fulfilled, can come unfulfilled. Like, I couldn't even imagine sometimes like how that woman could have felt, and then even not to get that reciprocity in the process of that. So I'm so, and it's like, and that's why I say my love to those women that have went through that, yo. Because you have people that didn't get to fulfill that, and I couldn't even imagine, again, the emotions, to living through it, to getting up. You know how powerful and resilient our women are? This is why I always tell people, a nation can rise no higher than this fucking woman. And this is why I always encourage our women, even from my experience, the pain that I help induce. But now it's more so, now seeing the gain, how could I use that to empower out myself and what I've done in my role and in accountability to empower our women. Like, it's like I said, I can do my very best to show up and then expressing that. But even the women that have lost, you know, their kids through, you know, whatever age, you're talking about babies that are here a couple of days. Like, these are things that are not discussed, man, and they're just told to just go on with their day, keep going to work. You know, this is bullshit. You know, now we're being faced with the reality, you have emotions. Like, we have emotions. We are vital. We are valuable. We are important. Even in these most vulnerable moments, that is vital. When someone experiences something like that, it's just so much bullshit to just a couple of days later have a funeral, go back like as if nothing ever happened, and not really holding that space for women and or men, you know, especially our women that goes through things with their children, like to even hold a space for her to make sure that whether she's celebrated or honored in that moment, honor her grieving. There's not a place where we honor things like that, because it's so much shit that been brushed under the rug, and we just expect people to snap out of it. And now you're seeing the mental illness centered around so many things like that. It's not just when people die. You're talking about collectively where people are just simply taught to be fucking robots, or just taught to like not be who you are and just simply pretend that you're detaching, and in reality you're hurting. You're not okay. You're not okay. But I'm here to let you know you all matter. Your emotions matter. What you went through matter. You know, and this is not to make someone out to be the bad guy or anything or point the fingers. It's just the emotional maturity that I've gotten, the emotional security that I've gotten within myself to share this with you all. Is that in those moments of your transitioning or someone happening, you know, something like that tragic happening, I know it's easy said than done, but it's like, I apologize for the if you didn't get that reciprocity in those moments, man. Because a lot of us are still trying to process that. A lot of people still trying to make sense of, like, did this really happen? And you're still trying to celebrate it. Not to mention being around people that are inauthentic, not really being genuine. Then that just changes the whole dynamic of relationships. with people, trusting and trying to develop a sense of trust within self again. Trusting your body as a woman to feel capable or believing mentally that you can have this. I've talked shit a lot, but I've had the chance to even be in the presence of women like that have had things happen to them as such, and then for them to, in a reality, to even see that reflected in their home. Like, it's fucked up. I may come along and be like, oh man, whoa, what's going on in here? But in reality, a lot of shit is like, this person is mentally going through something, mentally, emotionally. That's the thing that, again, it's like these people are going through something that they have not processed, that they have not yet accepted, that they really believe, and we want to just demonize it, criticize it as if like, what the fuck is going on? And I've had to come to the awareness, like, through my own, because we can perceive it through our own lens, and sometimes we can come off so judgmental, and not realizing like, oh shit, they're fucked up. And it's not saying like they're messed up in any way. No, mentally, like, emotionally, physically, it shows up. Spiritually, emotionally, and the physical. These things happen before it shows up in the physical. And I'm just like in awe, because sometimes I'm like, why am I being led down like to this path? I question the source, and I'm like, because it's you here to share and help aid our women and men, especially our women who have felt devalued. It's so fucked up. Like, I don't see how people's, every corner you turn, everything, it's like there's a way of, how to try to castrate or devalue the woman for her not even feeling like she should be angry or mad or feel whatever she needs to feel in that moment, whether it be a death, whatever she's experienced. And this is what has affected us as men. Because they hold on to certain things, and then here we are trying to come and help. And it's a lot that goes in with that, because if someone's not knowing what it is to emotionally express themselves or be who they are, it's gonna be, you're gonna have these unconscious, projections that really, again, go back and forth, and people get hurt. Because people are hurting in those moments when someone's transitional, when that mother has lost a child, or that father. So many things that go in with that can no longer be brushed up under the rug. But what I will say, because I know this wind picking up, is today we are going to, here's my chart, let go and burn all of those emotional attachments to past loved ones that have transitioned. I will express you to honor your emotions. When you see this burning and things comes up, and letting it go, this is just a visual to help aid in you letting go of those emotional strings, from your heart to that moment, to that year, to that day, to that very moment, to where you feel you haven't allowed yourself to really truly grieve, or to really access, to really honor what it is. Because it's not until we really honor that. We can say we've accepted it, but have we really embraced it, accepted it, and now let it go? Or some may say release, but I say let it go. And it's not to say after this, these memories won't surface. No, they're always with us in a way, but it's how we respond to it now. Can I be motivated? Can I use this as an inspiration, as how I got into my journey right now, to even share it with you all? And this is what makes you beautiful. This is what, again, allows you as a seed, being planted in the darkness, in your darkest moment, to allow yourself now to blossom, to represent, to get to know you more. And then now, how could I share, even if you feel led, or just simply take a step, baby step, or just simply crawl again, crawl out of that space, stand up again, take a baby step, then begin walking, then begin talking. See what I'm saying? Everything is like that. That's the beauty of that. So today, as you can see here, we are going to let go of all of these emotional attachments. Come on, Win, bear with. Oh, we're gonna get this done. Emotional attachments to, you know, the past loved ones, whether you know who it is best, you know, that has kept us binded in these places to where we don't feel a sense of liberation. This is a moment now where we're going to liberate ourselves and not allow these emotional attachments to, you know, not to say we still, now this is going to be more of a celebratory moment to where we can truthfully be ourselves again, walk in our truth, celebrate those that have transitioned and passed on. Now we can celebrate them in spirit, mind, and soul, and body, and all of that. Okay? So I'm gonna hold this here, and we're gonna burn and release this. This is emotional attachments to past loved ones that have transitioned. And make sure y'all can see this when it burns. Okay. All right. Come on, Win. Slow down for me. Slow down for me, Win. Okay. See if I can get this. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just hold it like that until. Y'all have patience with me, man. I'll just hold it up. Appreciate that. It slowed down a little bit. Gotta hold this up because I want y'all to be able to see the visual. There we go. Let that burn. You feel it. Let it go. Yes. And breathe through this. Breathe. Let it go. Okay. Let that burn out. Beautiful. I'm proud of you. I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. Now it's the beginning of a new life. Now this is the beginning of a new chapter because you've allowed yourself to be, to honor, and allow yourself to just grieve, be honest with yourself, and no longer try to, to attach yourself to that idea. And like I said, I share this with you. I know it can be very touching for a lot of people, but this allows you to get the help that you need. This allows you to help yourself, most importantly. And in that, it's gonna be the last one for today. Our past versions of ourselves that has kept us there in these moments where we cannot feel liberated, you know, to really be ourselves. And in that letting go of those past versions, that's everything connected to it. Spirits want me to say, whether it be a relationship with someone, whether it be a connection with someone that's outdated, those transitions, those things that have happened. Those things that have happened to where we don't have control over no more, where we have to let go of that. So I'm gonna do both attachment to uncertainty and attachment to the unknown. Or attachment to the unknown, or uncertainty, because we're moving forward now and connecting the attachment to our past version. So I'm gonna burn both the past versions of ourselves, which is also connected to moving forward with the attachment to the unknown, the uncertainty. Because in the uncertainty, in the unknown is where all possibility lies. And this is the beauty of it. So we're gonna let go of all the past versions that no longer serve us, whether connections, partnerships, people that we have become attached to, things that no longer serves our highest good, from us not really honoring and being truthful with ourselves now. And this allows us to honor and move forward in the uncertainty, that we are worthy of the uncertainty. All right? Breathe. Woo. Let go of all the past versions of ourselves. Dispel that. Let it go. So be it. Ashe. Ashe, ashe. You did it. I'm proud of you. I love you. I see you. I see you here. I'm grateful for you. Share this message with a lot of people, or those that you know that needs to see it. Again, today, in this very moment, in the present, you have decided to move forward. You have decided to progress. we have let go of those past versions of ourselves that we don't have to keep replaying in our mind. Letting go of those past versions of ourselves that that no longer serves us. And then honoring that, allow the emotions, allow the feelings to come up, because the best version of you is now ready. The best version of you is also those past versions that you let go, but the best version of you moving forward and in this present moment is here and now. That's why they call the present a gift. And now we can now embrace and acknowledge the uncertainty. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable anymore. Because even uncomfortable is still okay, but the uncertainty is knowing that all things right now are possible. All things, miracles are possible. You being a miracle of healing your body, healing your womb, the miracle of receiving miracles of you having that divine partner or partnership, or allowing yourself to co-create with someone. This will help aid you in those that have dealt with transitions, death, of loved ones, all of that. This will help now aid you into moving forward and walking in your authenticity and being truthful, and now opening that door to love again. Peace and blessings. Shalom.